Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Road America here in Wisconsin. We are very close to Elkhart Lake, which is, since the early 50s, been holding fantastic races in many different categories. In fact, Trans Am have been coming here since the inception of the series back in '66, and we continue that tradition here today, and we will be featuring our TA and production classes later today, but we've also got a host of other races, including our first race of the day, which is the International GT race for mainly Porsches, and they've already had two feature races, but coming up is the Enduro race, which is a 1-hour Enduro race, and it involves all the teams that have been involved so far. It's been dominated so far in the first two feature races by Tom Pank, and we're expecting more of the same. Coming up, though, later, we'll have the likes of Andretti, Dyson, and Menard in the TA, and we've got a host of other single-seater and other races to come. Beautiful day here. We had some rain over the weekend, but as you can see, these puffy clouds and Elkhart Lake in the distance. An absolutely beautiful setting for a motor race. Without further ado, let me introduce my cohort and partner in crime, Ben Sissel, who will be with us all day long, both in the pit lane and here in the booth. Ben, what's the latest down there?
Well, thank you, Jonathan. I'm here at the grid. This is now just made this change. The IGT 60-minute Enduro, but also PSSA, the Prototype Sprint Series Association Enduro. I'm sure it's going to be a split start. I'm not sure who's going out first, but this is obviously a PSSA car. Last year's champion, Ron Fletcher, in the Batmobile. Then we've got Tom Pank up here. Let me explain these 1-hour Enduros. There is a mandatory 5-minute pit stop in the Enduro. They have to come in, they can refuel, they can change tires, they can change drivers. But it's right when they come into pit lane, there's a timing line, and when they leave pit lane. So if Tom Pank goes out at 4:59, he could be penalized. He's looking to go out right at 5 minutes or 5:01. That's the goal. So there's a lot of strategy to this. There's also a lot of strategy when to pit. He's going to want to pit under yellow, which makes for some very interesting race in pit lane and do some pit reporting, because that's kind of the race here with these PSSA cars and IGT. I'm not seeing Butch Leitzinger, Juan Gonzalez here. They should be in P2. But then we have Lucas Pank coming out here. Lucas Pank is going to be running this car. Usually with the Panks, the cars look similar. There is no driver change. They're going to do the full hour unless one of them might go out with a mechanical. Then we might see a change of drivers there. Mr. Russell here and Mosley are in the PSSA cars. Looks like they're getting buckled in. I don't think there's going to be a driver change there. And then we've got Musafar Ghafarov here, who had really good showings yesterday. He's getting buckled in. I did speak to the crews before the race about an hour ago, and the only drivers in this group that I know for sure that are doing a driver change is the Juan Gonzalez Butch Leitzinger car. So we're going to get a feel of that. Troy Peterson, I don't believe, is doing a driver change, but he's out here with us. Tom Ballister, who had a great showing this whole weekend, but this is the only car that I can for sure tell you we're planned for a driver change. Let me talk to Leo here real quick. So Leo, I believe you're the only car I know of, but there is going to be a driver change. So Juan is starting and then Butch in it?
Yep, we're still testing. We're doing some changing on the car. That's why we're running them back.
Butch is not driving?
No, Butch is not driving.
So no. Not the 81X that he was in yesterday, because they're doing a lot of testing, is that right?
Yeah, we're just testing this car. It's a brand new car, and we're doing some changes.
Okay, awesome. Well, have fun out there, Juan. Then James Hammond back here. And I'm not sure, but I don't think... James Hammond, you're not putting anybody in the car, are you? He's nodding no. And then we've got the Stuttgart Cup cars. They got kind of left out yesterday, so I want to show the Stuttgart Cup cars because they're beautiful cars. So happy to have them here. This is Wes Wood. You can see from Wood Financial. beautiful car, the WRR, the number 41. Then Bob Weisen, but you're not driving this car? Not today, he says. So it's only Bob Weisen here. Then we go back here to the 85 Ross Poole. Beautiful car here. And the Stuttgart, you'll be able to tell them the Caymans and the Stuttgart have this yellow banner on top of the windshields that makes them a little bit different from the red Mission banners that we see. Then we come back here, David Hampton, who we'll also see in the TA XGT SGT GT race today. But David Hampton from Bend, Oregon is going to be running this in the Stuttgart Cup. He's giving me a thumbs up. I don't think he's got another driver. And then the last one is the 38, Richard Manis. But check this out. Look at this wrap with the rivets in there. You can't see this, but you can actually feel the rivets. There's a texture to each one of these rivets. Really cool design on that wrap. So that is Rick Manis in the Stuttgart Cup. I believe we're about 1 minute from grid. So Johnny, I'm going to be in pit lane listening to your announcing for this IGT 60-minute Enduro. I'm sending it back up to you.
Pop in anytime you like, Ben. I'm sure there's going to be something to talk about, for sure. And obviously with the odd driver change and the potential of something in an hour race causing somebody to come in, we'll be hearing from you. So, yeah, thank you for that walk through the grid. And it's going to be interesting to see it's going to make it a little bit more interesting with the PSSA cars out there. And just so you know, we've got, 10 of those. Led by Ron Fletcher, Zach Mosley, Dario Kosiagi, Kangiliosi, James French, Clay Keel, Phil Newsom, Harry Colson, Judd Miller, who was involved in an accident in yesterday's race, but A-OK, Chris Hinojosa, and Russell Allen. And here's our onboard with Juan Gonzalez, Hammond taking off. And this is the third race, the third feature race. And you can see the wind's pretty high up or pretty strong at the moment. But as you can see, it's set fair in terms of the weather itself. But so far the weekend has been dominated by that day glow green of Tom Pank and Lucas, his son, right there behind him. And as Ben mentioned, they're not expecting to do a driver change in this 1 hour Enduro race. And the strategy is when to come in, and of course they try or hope that they're going to get a caution of some sort that would allow them to use that time to not waste time in the pits, because you've got to come up the hill, take the pit lane, and then come back out again. You're going to lose a lot of time. It's a 4-mile track here at Road America. Beautiful day here. We've been racing here since the early 50s, and it is a storied track with many of the great, in fact, every great driver that's ever driven at the highest level professionally has at some point or other taken on Road America. Although I may add, none of them have ever said they've mastered it. This is the run down from the Sargento Bridge to turn 5. It's pretty much flat out through here, through the woods. And you come under this bridge, and from there on in, you are flat out. Real cheese people. This is Wisconsin after all. RVs parked up on either side, and we're on board with Ross Poole at the moment, and we'll get some nice onboard shots. And I love this longitudinal, basically it's a G-force measurement, so as they brake and go from side to side, you'll see that measurement as we go on board. And like Ben was pointing out, the yellow stickers on the top are the Stuttgart Cup, and then the GT3 Mission Foods GT3 Championship are effectively the other cars in there. I love it. Mission Foods now sponsoring motorsport from bikes to drag racing to IndyCar. And we're on board here with the 277 of Troy Peterson, who had a good race yesterday and was in the lead for a while. And again, we'll get throttle and brake from him, and the gears that he's in, and even the lap time as well as the speed. But yeah, I did note, I've just had the bios come through from Juan Gonzalez from Dallas, Texas, and he says, businessman, tortilla maker. It's a little bit of an understatement, seeing he owns Mission Foods, but yes. Yeah, it's a good definition. He does make tortillas, but I'm sure they've got other people to do that now. Through the carousel, the famous carousel before, leading on to, again, more iconic corners like the kink coming up right here. It's a little right-hand kink that's flat out. There it is. Kettle Bottoms is next, and that's where our stationary camera is, the Corvette, leading us through. And as you can see, the car's going from side to side to basically get some mechanical grip and heat into those tires, and pumping the brakes as well to make sure the brakes are working sufficiently. And this is the best illustration of high above the Road America course into Canada corner. You can see how tight Canada is in that right-hander. It's a very tricky corner, and I hope we stay on board each and every time we come through there, because it really is quite an exciting corner, one of the overtaking possibilities before you rise up to this left-hand crest, which is kind of blind, before diving down to turn 14. And my friend Ron at turn 14 doing the business, and a massively important corner, because this is the corner, the last corner at Road America, that leads up the hill. And you'll see in a moment as the Corvette starts to climb that hill just how steep it is. But that's just the first part of this. Once you come under the bridge and past where I'm sat at the moment in the commentary position on the left-hand side in the grandstand, there you see it. And once they breach the crest of the hill, then there's still a long way to go down to the first corner, which is a very fast fourth gear right-hander. But again, a good opportunity for an overtake. Well, like I said, Tom Pank won both Feature Race 1 and Feature Race 2 by some quite big margin. But we had some great battles, actually. Gaforov and Peterson were in a good battle. Then we had Ballister and Gonzalez and Hammond all fighting against each other for third place. Robert Wisen is also involved in that. And it'll be interesting to see how David Hampton goes. He starts 13 in his Cayenne Club Sport, and he'll also be racing in the production classes in GT for TA later today. Here is your Batman Bamille. I've always wanted to see a Batmobile racing, but a bit of a small field for the PSSA, and it was interesting to see how competitive they are. Very different cars, of course. These, though, prototypes, so prototype sports cars. And it seems to me like the Porsche's the obvious. We've got one BMW right at the back there. We've also got a BMW as well. And here we go, out of 5. Up the hill to the Corvette bridge, under there. And this one of the trickiest corners on the track. Very tight left-hander. Easy to get that wrong and run wide. Great onboard shots. We can watch the hands doing the work, which is what we like to see. And we just heard Butch Leitzinger, who was here yesterday, will not be taking part with Juan Gonzalez. Robert Wisen in the orange, black and white GT3 number 27. Raced in NASA and PCA in the past, but now here in IGT. Troy Peterson, who we're just on board with the Royal Pet team. He's a PCA national champion. He's also won several corner awards, so there you go. Nice to read the profiles of what they've been up to. So he's done PCA, NASA and SCCA, and is the business owner of Royal Pet Incorporated, hence the team Royal Pet. So down the back of the track, second lap of asking. We should be going racing next, and I can see the lights on the Corvette are off. Jim Hammond from Naples, Florida. Definitely one of the favorites for TLM USA. You can see it on the license plate. And been racing 17 years, Jim Hammond. And he's a regular to IGT. And the 2010 SCCA T2 divisional champion. perfect conditions for racing. And one of the new members to IGT, and we were talking to Ken Fengler, who might be joining me later, Mustafa Gaforov from Minneapolis, coming into the season. He's done the 24 Hours of Sebring with PCA, and the 24-hour Road Atlanta PCA race as well. But it's his first year in IGT, so he's showing so far as we go back on board and they get ready to go racing. Here we go, the green flag waves and away go the Panks. Line astern, Tom and Lucas. Peterson looking for a way past in the grey and red. Hammond jinks out to the inside. Good clean start. And on board with Peterson in, what, third place? No, he got second. Second place now, Peterson, so he did make it through. Nicely done. And he's got ahead of Lucas Pank and now goes in pursuit of Tom Pank as they go through the forest for the first time and down to turn 5. Heavy braking here and a lot of overtaking expected, and often happens right here, certainly on the inside. Hammond looking to the outside. And everybody nicely through there as the USAF Stuttgart Cup competitor at the back of this one for now. Fourth gear, and now, like I said, you can see the G-forces acting on them as they brake and go from side to side, coming through the Speedville Bridge and into the carousel. Now watch the G-force acting on him to the left. That means basically he's being pushed, his body is being pushed to the left as the car tries to navigate the corner. Back on board with Peterson in fifth gear through the kink, flat out through here, over 150 miles an hour. And Lucas Pank trying to recover and coming alongside Peterson there. So he may just try to force a move. Meanwhile, the battle in the Stuttgart Cup also hotting up nicely. Into Canada corner for the first time. And the drone just misses out on that tree section, but you don't miss anything because they pop right out into turn 13, which is a relatively simple corner, and then turn 14, very important to get the drive up the hill as we go back on board with Peterson down the main straight. Good clean start. So Pank under pressure early on. Now, he absolutely rolled away yesterday, but he's not having it as easy. And of course, this is a different race in many ways because they've got Peterson, they've got Pank in the 42 in second, but actually it's Peterson right there that we're on board with now. He's in second, got ahead of Lucas. There's Lucas. Oh no, he did get ahead. Well, there we go. So Pank is back in second place, so he did make that move. Just missed it down the back straight there. He was trying to make an attempt. And so it is the Panks that lead the way, but Tom Pank and then Lucas and then Peterson back to third. Ballister, Gaforov in fifth, Hammond, and here is Hampton, and down in 11th at the moment, bringing up the rear. And it's always good to see the hands working. That's where the work is done. And here come the PSSAs. In their own little battle. In fact, they're all three together, as you can see, and they've decided to combine them, given that there were so few entries for them. They had a bigger entry yesterday, but today they've decided to combine with IGT. Sixth gear, flat out for Peterson, still in third. And there is Canada corner. And here's that kink left-hander that I talk of. It's a blind crest over there. And Adam Andretti was telling me yesterday that's one of his favourite corners. He really enjoys it. The 888 is Giforov, who I just mentioned, from Florida. So he's attempting to make a move here into turn one, comes up the inside. This will be a classic Road America overtake. He can't quite do it, though, this time. Lined himself up nicely, but couldn't quite get it done. And the 188 of Ballister holding him off nicely. And it's been a good weekend for Ballister, too. He's been in the fight for positions throughout this weekend. Under the Sargento Bridge. And then flat out down towards turn 5. No change in the PSSA prototype race, as all three still battling away. Out of 5 and under the Corvette bridge they come. And now Tom Pank starting to stretch his legs a little bit. He's got away from Lucas by a second or so. And I'm glad to say that my good friend Ken Fengler has come up into the booth. And I will make sure he has these profiles as well, because we are delighted. We've got some nice little info. Gonzalez tells me he's a tortilla maker, which I thought was interesting, because I don't think he actually makes the tortillas, but...
$1 company.
Yeah,
and
no
kidding. Yeah, he's running the stand down at the beach, okay? There's the taco stand down here at Road America.
What did you learn, Ken? Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you much. No, it's a spectacular day here at Road America.
Gorgeous,
I have to say, I'm headed home this afternoon to Fort Lauderdale, and although it's a beautiful place, it's actually very warm. So I'm enjoying this last-ditch effort of clear, crisp weather, almost fall-like, and enjoying it. Yeah. So, and on track, we've got some hot racing going on, and father-son team. Pank and Pank, it sounds like a law firm, could be.
Pank and Pank.
Is, running out front, but good racing throughout, as we have had the first 2 sprint races. But
I've got a logo for them, Pank and Pank making bank.
There we go. I said, as I always say, Tom's got to keep it in the tank, okay?
There you go.
But,
hey, listen, while I got you here, we don't often do the endurance race, so why don't we start with the format? We mentioned that not many have got a second driver, but just explain how the Enduro versus the sprint race.
Right. Yes, there's some specific rules, and you got to pay attention, okay? First off, there is a mandatory 5-minute pit stop, okay? That has to take place, and it needs to take place before your 5-minute stop has to be completed with 15 minutes left in the race. So it means at the 40-minute mark of a 60-minute race, you better be in pit lane if you haven't done so yet.
Can you do it before that?
Absolutely. Okay. You can pit at any time. You can do 1 lap. Pits do not close unless there is a problem obstructing pit lane itself, okay? We've never had that, fortunately, and that means there is no... pit lane's not closed, but yes, anytime. Now, the other thing, and this comes where the pro driver, and it creates a slight disadvantage for the pro driver, because these guys will play a double yellow. If hopefully we don't have one, but if we do, everybody will immediately take their 5-minute stop under the double yellow. Yes, but if you need to make a driver change and had planned to put a driver change in, and it's usually a pro or a coach going in, there's minimum drive time for the driver of record, the sportsman driver. He has to drive 30 minutes. So if the double yellow comes out after the 30-minute mark or beyond, they've got the luck of the draw. If it comes out before then, they're kind of screwed, okay? They're going to have to make a decision whether they're going to stay with that driver or wait and do a quick change later, okay? Now, they can make more than 1 stop if they have to. For example, you can do an in and out if you found you had a small mechanical problem and you didn't want to take your full 5-minute stop. You're going to wait for a yellow possibly. You certainly can do that. So that's basically it. But the luck of the draw of when the yellow comes out and where you are, especially on a track like this, where you are when the yellow comes out. If you got word from your crew on the radio that, hey, the double yellow's coming out and you have not passed the pit lane entrance, you know, you might as well go for it and get in.
Talk about going for it. Gaforov's finally done that turn one turn. Oh, he's got a little wide doing it. He's lost out. He's been lining that up for the last couple of laps, and I thought he was going to make that easily, but he didn't quite pull it off. He'll try again, I'm sure.
Yeah, Tommy standing there, a giant killer, doing well, I believe.
Whoa, Lucas!
Dad got back in front of him.
Yeah.
Dad's speaking of using all the track, Dad's way out there.
Yep.
Lucas staying tight and needy.
Been a good race, actually. Lucas clocked onto the back of Tom early on, and he's been that way since since we started. So 15 minutes he's kept with him, and we've seen Tom totally dominate proceedings in the last day or so as we go back on board with third place Peterson.
Yeah, I said this morning, I'm really impressed with how Lucas has come on. He's just...
How old is he?
Lucas must be about 24 now.
Yeah,
he's a couple of years out of college. Came to us as a total greenhorn rookie and made some mistakes along the way, but he spends a lot of sim time, and you can tell. I mean, he just shows up at a track and he's dialed in, you know, and he's steady Eddie, he's calm in the car. Obviously, he didn't get his personality traits from his dad, okay, who's just an excitable boy. Matter of fact, Tom is affectionately known as my ADD poster child, okay, all right, but Lucas is just not that. He's calm in the car, he's very calculated, and he's become such a good driver.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. You were talking about the double yellows, and all the time you were talking about it, I was thinking, but these guys are so competent, there's not really a lot of chance of a double yellow.
Well, every once in a while it goes wrong, and it doesn't have to be a driver error. It can be a mechanical where a car's in a place where they deem they need to get safety crews out there and put the pace car out. So, it can be a number of things. It doesn't have to be, an issue where it is a driver error, so to speak.
Well, you see the gap to third place as they dive into Cube 3, Turn 1. And this battle, though, is continuing between Ballister and Gaforov. Now, he's got Nico Jamin as a second driver, but are we expecting a change in that pit stop?
I don't know. That was a last-minute ad, so I think I think that's one of those that depends on when and if a double yellow comes out.
Okay.
And if they run to the 40-minute mark, they will just come in and do it as well everybody else is. So at that point, if they'd like to, they sure can.
We've got 43 minutes left in this race, so plenty of time to make moves as we see the 55 of Chris Hinojosa in the Revolution 500. And we've got 3 of the PSSA as we go back on board. I love these onboards. They're so clear and really give you an instant understanding of what they're going through as he turns through turn 3 and heads towards the Sargento Bridge. 4th gear, this Ross Poole, and then down to 5. So holding their own against certainly the Stuttgart Cup entries, the PSSA. I don't suppose it's very often that you do get to race with the PSSA guys.
Yeah.
And they are Hinojosa, Ross Poole, just ahead of him in the Cayenne Club Sport, in the 85, in 12th place overall. Back on board with 3rd place, Troy Peterson. Had a good run yesterday.
Yeah, he's cleared himself from the fight between Tommy Ballister back there behind him, but so he's got clear sailing. He's probably in a good place where he'd like to be. Not quite catching up on the tail of the Panks, but has an equal distance between him, his teammate, and Tommy Ballister. Looks like he's gotten by Tommy, cleared him.
Ken, I've asked you this yesterday, but we've always got a new audience tuning in. Talk a little bit about who you attract to this series and a little bit about the history, because 10 years or so?
Yeah, we're on year 11, and we were, I kiddingly say we were an overnight success. It just wasn't last night. As we like every series, we were new on the scene. There are plenty of places that customers and drivers can choose to run, preparers, and there's lots of different series out there to run. We're a sportsman series presented on a professional platform, from our social media to our podium presentations everything done in a professional manner. In that respect, the cars are presented in a very professional manner. The preparers that do these cars are the same teams that do many cars through other sanctioning bodies, whether it's IMSA and one of the Porsche series, same teams that prepare them, which is much needed because cars are sophisticated, they're complicated, and gone are the days where you're just going to go out there and tune the carburetor, throw the timing light on it, and away we go. Do a little chassis setup and alignment. These are very, lots of technology built into these cars.
Well, 40 minutes to go, and let's head down to Ben Sissel because there is activity in the pit lane. Batman has come in. Gotham must have called. Let's find out.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. You can see here we've got Jason filling up Ron Fletcher's car. Caleb put on his fire suit really quick to hold the fire extinguisher. They're doing everything by the rules. They have to have full fire equipment on with the gloves and the fire extinguisher. Ron Fletcher is out of the car, which is per the rules. The driver has to get out of the rules. I did see them remove the rear cover, and according to their Facebook last night, they had to do some late night work getting this car up and running. But this looks like Ron Fletcher, who was out front of PSSA, this is going to be his 5-minute pit stop, which makes it very interesting. There are a lot of rules to these pit stops, especially if they are refueling. I'm going to send it back up to you guys in the booth.
And as you can see, Ron Fletcher in deep conversation there with his coach or his engineer. I'm not sure. I think it's actually his other driver. But, just having a quick chat there and keeping away from the fuel, quite rightly. And he'll be back in the car very soon. But that is his choice of coming in early and taking his pit stop. So they too are under that same rule. Good-looking cars, aren't they?
Yeah. Yep.
Gap between the banks now up to 2 seconds, so Tom has recovered well, having had the pressure from the youngster. I would have thought it's a good relationship when you go out with your dad racing.
Yeah, as we said, we were at Indy at Father's Day 2 weeks ago, and we had 8 sets of father-sons racing with us.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I don't think you would have put that in the Guinness book.
We actually have. We did a email blast, one of our social media blasts out to our customers the week prior, and listed all the father-sons that we've had run with us, and I believe there was about 16 sets of them that have run with International GT.
Now that was an interesting pit stop because he didn't stop for fuel and he just came in and went back out again. So,
yeah, which they can do.
Okay, no change, and so back out goes the 55 of Hinojosa. And here's your Stuttgart Cup. Why don't you explain also how the format works? You've got the GT3 and the Stuttgart Cup here this weekend.
Yes.
There's also a Maranello Cup, but tell us what those are.
Yeah, pretty simple deal. In the Mission Foods GT3 Cup Trophy, it is what I consider old school 911 base cars, okay? Yep. Whatever the designation, 991, 993, 996, we've had 991.2, all the new generations. To me, it's 911 base cars. It's that chassis setup.
Love it.
They've
gone all in, haven't they, on the Batman thing?
They certainly have. Yes, exactly. I guess it was
strapping Ron Fletcher in.
Better than the Joker.
Carry on. Sorry.
But and then the Stuttgart Cup is open to Caymans and other German manufacturers. We had AMGs, which would fall under the Stuttgart Cup banner and can compete because you had
a BMW on the
yes, I was surprised they weren't running the rest of the weekend. They ran on test day with us, and I kind of thought they were going to run with us. Also would be in Stuttgart Cup. Mission Foods GT3 Cup is the only one that is brand and model specific, okay? Just as the Stuttgart Cup is more broad, and we do welcome them, and we're not just a Porsche, Ferrari series. We are open to other brands. For example, the Maranello Cup, which we've had numerous Ferraris in. We've had Lambos, okay? In the Stuttgart Cup, we've had Audis, AMGs. And
so a few R8s out there.
Yes, exactly. So it's a much broader spectrum for the championship. They gain championship points, and but It is still, because on any given Saturday, I remember years ago, and I get it, the pure numbers of miles that were run and they said on any race weekend they had the numbers, but I would say probably followed close behind had to be a darn Porsche. I mean, everywhere you go, you see them, and they built a huge customer base, not only retail but in racing, and their engineering, their reliability, and their service to their customer has been really key to, and that's been a problem with some of the other manufacturers. We've had teams that have wanted to run other cars, and the parts availability or support has been such when teams get frustrated and move back to, let's say, a Porsche, just because they don't want to, they don't have the support they feel they need.
What I like about the IGT Championship also is it is got that relaxed feel. I mean, if you tuned in and you just came across this, you'd think, oh, is this IMSA? But no, but the level of driver is such that any one of these drivers could be in one of the IMSA classes for sure. But what you find is that you do get professionals like Butch Leitzinger and Pippa Mann and many others who come and use this to coach gentleman drivers to be better and get closer to being a professional driver.
That's the great thing about motorsports. I read an article, and years ago we were doing this, and my longtime friend and business partner Derek Bell, says, when Derek was out there teaching people, said, where do you get the chance of a 5-time Le Mans winner, a 2-time World Endurance Champion in the car next to you, working with you? And only in motorsport. Only in motorsport does that happen. It doesn't happen in football.
I mean, what a legend.
It doesn't happen in baseball.
No.
It hardly even happens in golf unless you pay a lot of money.
I can assure you that if you went on the soccer pitch today, you wouldn't find Lionel Messi on the sidelines going, hey, why don't you try this?
Yeah, exactly.
No, Derek Bell, absolute legend. I think how many times winner of Le Mans?
5-time Le Mans.
5-time Le Mans.
5-time Le Mans.
Brilliant.
Yeah, right.
Great guy.
So, and not taking anything away from it, Butch's resume is huge. He's such a humble, low-key guy, and many of these drivers that do. The thing with International GT, as you mentioned, in sports car racing, and I was involved in IMSA many years ago for lots of years, but in sports car racing, it is there are varying talents throughout the field, okay, and really in many types of racing, there's the front runners, the middle pack, and the guys at the back, and you even see that in open wheel racing, maybe not so much. Well, you even do see it in Formula One, but it's in all types of racing that you're going to have this variation and a differentiation of level of talent on the grid. As I say, though, we see them on the way up and we see them on the way back down, because we've had numerous guys. Right now, we'd like to wish all those teams and drivers that there are numerous ones that have competed over the past couple weeks in other series and have done well. Started in International GT or came up.
Off goes one of the PSSAs. We're right on board, just at the perfect time.
Yep, that was a spin, and I don't think it's to win.
Nope.
But it's great to see at this level, the varying people that come out.
I mean, you mentioned that. I was recently at the Miami Grand Prix and covering the Porsche Carrera Cup North America, and David Twatty was there.
Yes, David was there. Scott Blinn was there. Yeah, Scott won our championship a couple of years ago. He's been out in 2 other series. He's promised to come back, but I get texts from him every now and then. Say, Ken, I really miss the IGT paddock. They've gone on, and that's where we maybe try and be a bit different. That the camaraderie and sharing of information. We were at Lime Rock last year, and we had a guy come out, and we had a local kid who was very fast. There's a guy there who was capable but was not getting it right. He went up and said, hey, let me show you something here. And he showed him, and he was off and running. And he didn't have to do that. It was a competitor of his. He went up and he showed him, and he said, here's where you're getting it wrong. And he set him right, and off he went.
I think that's the overlying positive, if that's the right word, of the whole of the Pirella Holdings motorsport empire, if it were, from SVRA to Formula 4 to Formula Regional, and of course Trans Am, is that you've got that paddock where people are friendly, people are working together for 3 or 4 days each and every race meeting, and they do swap stories. It's a very family orientated paddock, and you're right, It doesn't matter whether you're Brent Cruz and you're the champion and you're only 16, or you're Adam Andretti and you've been around the houses and part of the royal family of racing here in America. You know, everybody's got something as an input, and the likes of Rafa Matos and here Troy Peterson and many others, all happy and willing to, you know, invest time in other people.
Yeah, there's a new battle that's come up. Mr. Peterson has to step it up now.
Well, this is the battle for third and fourth. Yeah, Gaforov right
behind him.
They're teammates, are they?
Yes, they are. Out of Goldcrest. Great team that has supported International GT here this weekend.
Well, Gaforov trying to make a move, and he made a move earlier at this corner, but he then went wide, so I think he's going to think wisely to it. Peterson's tough competitor, Troy Peterson. Now they've got a bit of traffic, so that might be where Gaforov makes an advantage, but no, they both got round him from the Stuttgart Cup.
Good awareness, thank you much.
Yep. And another pit stop for PSSA.
That was our spinner.
Yeah, that was the man that spun in the 55.
I mentioned Goldcrest. Shout out to Bob and Steve, the Goldcrest principals. That maybe they're sitting in their living room just watching the telecast and watching their customers go around because they're not here this weekend.
Okay.
But most likely not. They're probably at another racetrack supporting some other customers.
Chris Hinosa is the PSSA driver in the Revolution 500, who is making his pit stop and refueling. And we're getting closer now. 30 minutes in, we're getting now down to when we'll start to see some pit stops. And that's where it becomes a strategy, isn't it? It's when to pit, how the traffic works. Though with this relatively sparse field and this long 4-mile track, I don't think traffic's going to be an issue this weekend.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think that will be the problem. Timing the pit stop, if you're trying to get it down to the last possible second, which I don't think is a wise choice to do, because if you get out, you could be short on a pit stop on getting in pretty easily. I mean, if you didn't get the word on your radio or whatever, you know, you may find yourself with 20 seconds left to get to the pits, and you may not have that time.
Let's head down to the pit lane. Yeah, we'll see. Let's head down the pit lane. Ben Sissel's got the latest.
Yeah, well, I'm here down in the pits, and this is kind of a different way to do it. Somebody came over the wall to fill up, but the driver, Hinojosa, is actually got out of the car, but because he's fully dressed, he became the fire extinguisher person, which is kind of a neat way to do it, but looks like they're, but he thought they were done, but he's putting in more gas, so Chris is going to have to come back, grab the fire extinguisher. But that is a pretty good way to do it if he doesn't have enough crew in the pit lane. I did hear, Jonathan, that his last name is Hinojosa. We were talking about that yesterday. Now, Ken, I don't know what the strategy is as I see the first IGT car coming in, but it seems like the IGT cars are waiting a while. We're going to run up there. Back to you guys.
Yeah, Ben, I can tell you what the strategy is. They're waiting. Honestly, that's the first of. But they could wait a minute. They're at the 20, they're in early for a driver change, okay? They're at 29 minutes, so they're a minute early. So unless they stay in an extra minute, which is not good, they're not going to be able to do that.
So we'll see some rule breaking.
Yes, it is. Just by bit, yeah. So we'll see what goes on.
What you in Hinojosa, you were pointing at something. What were you worried about?
I was looking at the visor just to make sure it was all the way down.
Good man. Ever working.
Yes.
So here we go.
Yep.
This is Gaforov in the 888 is out, and there is a driver change. Yep. So
no, actually, I looked at and they were okay. So they're good to go on a driver change.
So this should be Nico Jamin.
Yep. So he will go out at the 35-minute mark. And yes, driver change, and they were within the limit, so they're all good there. The other cars will wait until the 40-minute. You know, they've got about 10 minutes to play to see if that, you know, track doesn't go double yellow. But they're not.
Ballister is in as well.
I think that was Tricia TLM crewing that car, judging by the hair that came out of the helmet.
Meanwhile, Peterson still pedaling away and still in third place because there's no change. The Panks haven't come in yet. So it's still the same at the front. But we've got some changes as Nico Jamin comes into the 888 and Thomas Ballister in the 1888. is just making his change, but no change to, there you go, Nico Jamin. But no change to driver in that 188 car.
Yeah,
so he'll just wait out till he gets to 35, yeah?
35, yeah. And they timed that stop perfectly. That was timed right at the 30-minute mark in, so good on them. It worked well for them.
Down to turn 3, Peterson diving in there, nice and smooth, opening it up, down towards the Sargento Bridge underneath that, and then flat out in 5th. And you can see the speed there. He's, what, 150, topping out at 162. Yeah.
Yep.
And then hard on the brakes for 5. Back up the Corvette Hill Bridge. And away they go. And out comes the 888 of Nico Jamin at the wheel in the GT3 Cup car. 25 minutes of our Enduro. Happy with the season so far?
Yes.
I remember at Sebring you were a little bit distressed. They were a little bit leery, weren't they? I think they were all a bit impatient to get out on track, and it was
yeah, that first race of the year is always the one that sorts things out. But no, it's been a good season. We added Indy last year. As I said, we had a good showing. Father's Day weekend, good showing there. A slight break over July, but Watkins Glen moves back into August from September. We're looking at that. That's always one of our big events. And then we wrap up the year with VIR in Coda.
Yeah, that's always a great way to end the year. And, of course, that's where our Trans Am series will also end. And, great way to end the year in Austin, Texas. Beautiful day here. We've had quite a lot of rain over the weekend, but I'm sure many parts of the United States still dealing with the heat and heavy rain as well. So it's been an interesting weather front. We've got a lot of wind here today, and it's blowing up the hill into turn 1. So I think that's another reason why several of the drivers missing their braking points going into 1, or maybe making, this is the corner I'm talking about, into turn 1 here. With that heavy, strong wind blowing them towards turn 1, sometimes can put them off. Through goes the 95. And that's Zach Mosley in the Revolution A1 500 SC. There he is. Don't know if there's any relation to the other Mosley who races in the Carrera Cup. Peterson down to 5, under braking. Another pit stop complete. That's the 188 coming out finally after waiting. Thomas Ballister still at the wheel for TLM USA, but no driver change. And do they transport their cars individually, or do you do it en masse?
Individually by team, okay? For example, Gold Coast has 2 cars here. Pank has 3 cars here. Ultra Performance, I should say. 3 cars here. There's very few single car teams, okay? They're mostly done by professional preparers who, batch customers together. It becomes certainly the economy of scale. The more cars you go up, and most teams want 3 to 5 cars, 5 filling a truck, in most cases as a good way to go.
We just saw Juan Gonzalez doing his pit stop in the 81, and of course he was in the 81X yesterday. So he said they're testing, and Butch was helping him out. But what would they be testing for, and why? Just a new car?
This is a brand new car to him, which is not why it's not in the Mission Foods livery. Just took delivery of it. So so they're learning it and getting on with making it comfortable for Juan. Because understand that there is no setup. It is what you're trying to get the car to the driver's comfort level. And some want it looser and want the back to hang out. Some want it tighter and create the understeer, feel more comfortable with some understeer. I don't, but nonetheless, it varies from driver to driver, which is why sports car racing is very interesting when you have multiple drivers. you know, you've got to have that happy medium setup, you know. Although I think the lead driver tells him that's the way the car is going to be set up, and you'll figure out how to drive it.
Third place Peterson comes in, and now we're starting to get to the nitty-gritty of the business end of the top drivers coming in. And it'll seem like a painfully long time to be in there, but it's thumbs up from him. And he's had a good run so far. We welcome Cesar Cordova on our live stream. He was here with us yesterday. He's got the coffee on. And yes, Chris Coffey will be in action in the TA later. And watching from Sebring, that's Tina. She's loving it. Good to see you, Tina. And welcome all of our viewers on the live stream. And we've got a full day of action for you. But right now, I'm here, Jonathan Green, with Ken Fengler, as we take a look at our Enduro for IGT, part of the Pirella Motorsport Holdings company. And as also, we've got some car shows, as you can see, going on in the background there, or on the infield, as they come under the Mission Food Bridge.
Yeah, I think Tom just credits his lap, but looking at the overall time, and I'm not official, but I think they should have came in on that last lap.
Yeah. For what reason? Just time-wise?
Be in at the 40-minute mark.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Be at the 40-minute mark.
There's a cut-off, yeah.
Yeah. So
you've got to come in before 15 minutes of the race is left.
Yeah, you have to complete the stop.
Right.
Which is totally different than the rule reads.
Oh!
The stop. Ooh.
Ballister. Now he's just come out of the pits and he's parked up in the TLM USA car. Now he's in a safe position, but not where he needs to be. I think that's at turn 5.
That's disappointing.
And he's obviously tried to run over my good friend Lake, which is not good work, to be honest. No, I'm just kidding. But no, he is at turn 5, I think, but parked in a safe place. Yeah. So that's the runoff at 5. There's the 5 position. Yeah. You can see the safety car flags are out, and he's just right. I think he's missed his braking point.
I think so.
But the car looked intact, so
yes.
Let's take a look at what happened.
Okay.
We'll soon see. Here we go. So he's coming down 2.5. Here he is. Ooh. It's like the brakes went, didn't they?
Went wrong.
Whoa, great work from our cameraman Lake.
Yeah. Something broke.
He came right at him, but I was joking when I said it, but I wasn't far from the truth, to be fair. That was a very close incident.
Yeah.
He hit the wall, the cement wall there, heavily, and so it's the back of the car that is damaged. You can see now.
The expensive end.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's disappointing. Something definitely broke there. The car.
Now, how does this affect the pit stops? In terms of now we're under caution.
Now would be the time to clean pit stop. Now he's coming in, but as I can tell, and this is up to our steward, Ron Zitza, but he's late. No timing.
Tom Pank's in. That's our leader.
18 minutes to go. Yeah, he's late by a lap.
Because is he going to get penalised for that?
Yes, he should. Not my deal, but I will see.
There you go. David Tuati just chimed in. Trish and the boys taking care of business while the other half of TLM was at Sebring. There you go. Yeah, that was a big moment, and even David Tuati goes, "Ooh, no."
Yes, I know. They won their class. Congratulations to at Sebring. They won in the 12-hour race there.
Here comes Lucas Pank as well. Yeah. But I agree with you. They're late, aren't they?
Yes, they are. I'm going to go check, just see with timing, and maybe I'll get some info on that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Glad to see some people chime in early this morning. Watch this. Our founding father, Bill Riddell, told me he was going to watch this morning. He's probably sitting in his living room.
He chimed in yesterday, didn't he? About his bacon?
He did yesterday. Yeah. So, Bill out there. Bill, I hope you're enjoying the race. It looks like Tom's slowing himself down, but not on purpose. But we'll see what it is. So let me check on some pit stops to see where we're at.
Well, as you can see, the Corvette is out, and we are under caution here in our IGT coverage. Ken Fengler just going to go check on what's happening in terms of the leaders, because it could affect the race quite drastically if Tom Pank and Lucas Pank have mistimed their entry. Obviously, they got the caution, but we might be out of the window for them to be in at the correct time. So we'll find out. But officially, at the moment anyway, it's still Tom Pank leading, Lucas Pank in second, and Zach Mosley now in third in the first of the Revolution A1 500 PSSA cars. Peterson back out in the 277, and out goes the Batmobile. Ron Fletcher at the wheel, and currently in 13th position overall. Now, there's also an oil flag out there, so I'm not sure whether that accident that we saw was due to oil on the track or just brakes not working as well as they did. The way the car swerved tells me that it was more likely to be a mechanical rather than a slide, but maybe wrong. What do I know? But we have heard from race control that one of the PSSA cars did drop some oil, and that's why that flag is out. So it could be a combination of both, just slip sliding. And yeah, that's the reason we're under caution, is there is some oil down at turn 5, and so therefore they've got the flag out there to warn. And also during the caution, they may just put some kitty litter down, and not kitty litter, it's wet dry as we call it. But just to dry that up, because it's so easy for that situation to occur again if they don't clear it up. I was taking a close look at the pace car this morning, and here the registration is Pace 1. I love it on that Corvette, and of course, quite rightly, Corvette very synonymous with Road America, so that's their pace car. We have the Ginetta in the Trans Am series at the other tracks, but this weekend it's all Corvette. And under the Speedville Bridge and into the famous carousel now, officially 15 minutes, just under, left in this race as the last of the 3 PSSA cars comes in and out, the 95. And I don't think, again, any driver change. That's Zach Mosley, who had been running as high as 3rd position. Well, Bill Riddell has commented, "Great race," he says. "Morning, misfits." That's Skonda Tech. Good morning. We officially take that moniker, no problem. And welcome to CJ Becker as well. Got a good, nice audience watching our coverage of IGT. And don't forget, we've got some great races to come. And of course, it'll be our feature race, which is TA and GT, coming up later in the day. We've also got some Formula Atlantics and some FRP 1600s coming up next, and then there'll be also the PSSA race, which I'm interested to see. I've got a feeling that now will be not run in the same slot as it was due to run, which was 11:25, and obviously this replaces it. So out goes the 42 of Tom Pack. It's been an absolutely glorious weekend for Tom. A little competition from a youngster in the number 42. That's his son, Lucas. Well, that was early on. Before the pit stops, he stretched the lead to just a couple of seconds and made himself a clear leader. The Bay Saver Technologies cars in the green and blue, very distinctive, out on track, can't miss them. And interestingly, the Stuttgart Cup cars all now at the front, so we've got an interesting group now as the others make their pit stop and get back out on track. We're still under caution, and that was because we had a car go off at 5, and we believe that oil was put down by one of the PSSA cars, which caused the Porsche to go off. So while we're under caution, we'll take a short break here from Road America. Join us after this when we'll resume racing.
The PIR Speed Tour returns to Portland International Raceway July 26th through the 28th, featuring the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli Western Championship, the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association, Prototype Sprint Series Association, the Optima Search for the Ultimate Street Car, and Saturday you can take part in the Haggerty Cars and Caffeine Car Show with Parade Lab. You do not want to miss the PIR Speed Tour July 26th through the 28th. For tickets, simply go to speedtour.net.
You've got a business to run, big and heavy products to ship, and customers who need them now. When you've got the right driver and the right equipment, you can bet on a spectacular result. Bennett understands complex logistics and puts the best team, the most time, and the latest technology into every customer relationship. So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the race. Let us handle the rest.
Together, we can move anything.
Welcome back to Road America. We're still under caution in our IGT race, the first of several races here from Road America, part of the Speed Tour that is. And we are well into the 2024 season, and we've got some great iconic events coming up. We've also got the All-Star event at Lime Rock for Trans Am, and we're dusting off some of the greats. Mark Martin and many others, Andy Lally. All sorts of great names of past and present will be at the All-Star event in Lime Rock, so definitely put that in your diary for mid-July, the 21st, and get ready for that one. Adam Andretti also taking part, looking forward to that. Also coming up, we've got a trip to Canada for the first time, and looking forward to that very much so, and it's great to reunite Trans Am going to Canada as part of the USA Tour that now includes going to Canada as well. And we've also got Watkins Glen, COTA, VIR. Can't wait for those events. All good stuff. And that's the beauty. Tony Perella, who started watching Trans Am as a little fella, fell in love with the sport, now owns Trans Am, SVRA, and Formula 4 and Formula Regional, and one of his big mantras is to basically make sure that we go to all the iconic circuits in North America, and I think that's the biggest attraction of all for the Speed Tour is the tracks that we go to. Ken Fengler is back, and I'm sure hot-footing some news. Tell me, Ken, what's new?
Well, here's what I've heard. Unfortunately, as we saw that the 1888 car, which had the problem, it went in the wall. As he held all that wiggling and waggling, fluid was down on the track.
Yeah. Well, we
and then,
did
of course,
get news of
they're going to
yeah.
checker this because of they can't clean up that in time before the end of the race. So disappointing end to it. And then.
Well, I'm glad you went and found out because I wasn't aware that we were actually going to end. So we are going to end under caution.
We are going to end. Okay. You're going to see the checker come out here very shortly.
Fair enough.
So we got close to it.
It was one of the PSSA cars that laid down the oil, and unfortunately the Porsche just. Well, it looked kind of mechanical at first look, but
that's what you'd think. But there was no flag out. But unfortunately, he was the first guy to find the oil, and the other thing that we have, and I got with Ron, and his some penalties we assessed. We have one car, the 888 car, which was massively short on a pit stop, time-wise.
He did come in early, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and the other two, as a guest, the two Pank cars were in late, so I don't know whether that will affect the finishing order, but a penalty will be assessed.
Ooh, so we could have some shenanigans again.
Yeah, so a minute and a half late on the stops in. I said when they went by, I said, I think they should have came in on that lap.
Yeah, you were absolutely spot on because the 15-minute mark had come and gone, and they had not come in. They waited for the caution.
I was shocked they went by the pit because knowing how long it takes to get around this racetrack. So, a bit of a disappointing end, but nonetheless a great weekend of racing. Yes, fantastic.
Great races, and we just had a comment from Bill Riddell saying, great race.
Yeah,
so if he's happy, we're all happy, right?
To this point, it really has been a good weekend.
Well, while we've got this moment, quickly tell us what next for IGT, and if somebody's interested, having tuned in, tell them how they can get involved.
Yes, our contact information is on internationalgt.net. Julie, my able assistant, way more capable than I am, as always talks with many of our customers and gives them lowdown, but they contact myself or Julie. And we're on to Watkins Glen, but we're also in the planning stages for 2025. Within the next week, we are huddling up to get together on next year's schedule. Many of the racetracks, which are the best in the country, will be on, with maybe the addition of one or two. So that's what we look forward to in 2025.
There we go. That's Ken Fengler, who runs the IGT Championship and has done so for the last 10 years, now 11 years. And it's going from strength to strength. And not the way we wanted to finish this one, obviously, but you do not want to be running down to turn 5 under braking with oil down on the track. So they will clear that up, I am sure. But it is unofficially a win for Tom Pank in the 42. There he is. And Lucas Pank second. But there could be a question mark over when they came in.
Yeah, that'll be looked at. And any rate, again, thank you on behalf of our marketing partners, Pirelli and Mission Foods. Thank you for this great Speed Tour event weekend. Our official sponsors, Fixie Wheels, Detroit Watch Company, and our official vendors, Sunoco Race Fuels, Speedcom Communications, Stand 21. Thank you very much. It's been a fantastic, beautiful weekend here at the National Park of Speed, and we look forward to being back here in 2025.
Thank you, Ken. And yes, we finish under caution. And at the unofficial, it's Tom Pank, Lucas Pank, and Mustafa Garofov and Nico Jamin. But they may get a penalty. We'll find out, and we'll let you know as the day goes on. We'll take a short break. More action to come from the Speed Tour. Stay with us. Thank you, Ken.
I don't know what it is. I totally feel like I'm a kid again when I get on my buzz bike.
Horsepower, baby. You know me, I like horsepower.
We no longer bring golf carts to the racetrack because we have buzz bikes.
What does it mean to be built with Summit? It means turning some rust into rolling artwork. Built with Summit means you're making something that was already fast, even faster. It means that your project will be on the road or track long after you've bolted it together. And Built with Summit means you're doing it with in-stock parts, fast shipping, expert advice, and the best prices. Summit Racing Equipment. Let's build it together. SummitRacing.com.